Welcome, Chris Evans Radio. We are back with little Dave and new IFBB Pro, Chris Schaub. How you guys doing?
Good.
Excellent.
Chris, you have the most diet face of the three of us.
Easily.
It's still
Goes-
dieting.
It goes you, Dave, and then my fat face. So we're fuck, man. So anyways, the whole point of today is I thought we would get on and Chris has a really cool story of just a prime example of why you keep bodybuilding. And his rise to success of actually achieving pro status was not quick, it was not fast, it wasn't easy. And I think that's a message that needs to be shared. And in this world of Instagram where everything happens quick and we're always like, we need to be a pro in 2 shows, like the reality of the situation is that's very rare, even though that's what we're presented with, because we see all people's highlights and the ones that do it quick. And what's really wild is, I mean, I've been with you multiple times and people thought you were a pro and you're like, nope.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that it takes some getting used to. When someone asks you if you're a pro, you're probably going to instinctively say nope. But yes, the answer is now yes.
I was actually thinking about that yesterday when I was at the gym. Because people ask me all the time, "Hey, are you pro yet?" And I'm like, no. I was thinking yesterday, like, well, if somebody asked me that, now I can actually say yes.
Right. Yeah.
That one gets me all the time. I get people all the time that ask me if I compete in the 212. And I'm like, no.
Not yet.
I'd have to be a pro first.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think, what's wild is I think anyone sees people with lots of muscle and who aren't super fat and they're like, oh, this person has to be a pro, like they're enormous or they're a professional wrestler or a football player or something. So yeah. So man, what I think I'll get you to start is, what really got you into bodybuilding and how long did it take you of actual bodybuilding before you started to win some overalls?
Well, I actually started like 13, like lifting weights. I was always athletic, always played sports, mainly baseball. Parents wouldn't let me play football. They were afraid I'd get hurt. So I played baseball. I was good at it. But really, I got into it when I was about 13. I started getting serious into it. I got the little cement set that most people start off with.
Yep.
My uncle was a bodybuilder. He competed and did shows. And I remember he lived in Florida down here, and we lived in Georgia. So he'd come up and see us. And Georgia, we're not used to people from Florida. He'd come in with his Daisy Dukes on and big ass quads just hanging out, meat all over. Like, man, I want to be big like that one day, because I was a skinny kid, naturally really skinny. So that's what really got me into it. And then I'm at a high school. I remember I was in a church. We went to a church, like a fall festival type deal, and I won a free membership, three free month membership to a Gold's Gym in town. So like, oh, cool. Let me check this out. Let me see what it's like. And I really wasn't into lifting like that. I would just lift to lift. I was never really got serious with it out of high school. And so went in there and I immediately fell in love with it. I had 2 buddies that come with me. They didn't fall in love with it. I did. I met some of the big guys in the gym, and they took me under their wing. They taught me a lot of stuff, and I just loved it. I stayed with it ever since. And I probably lifted for a good 10 years before I ever decided to do a show.
Yeah.
I had gotten laid off from my job at Bridgestone and kind of wanted to do something. I had time to do it. So my best friend at the time, he had competed before, and I was like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. I mean, it can't be that hard. So he actually did my diet for me. And then up until we did the show together, we were dieting together. And up until it started getting hard on him, he did all my stuff for free for me. And then after that, he handed it over to a buddy of ours in town, a local guy that was a competitor, and he did everybody's diets. He was a coach in town. Tony Haynes, he's actually still a very good friend of mine today. We always keep in contact. He always checks on me, sees how I'm doing. So he took me under his wing, did my first show. It was the Knoxville Classic. And I'd always told my buddy, I was like, I want a fucking overall. I want the big ass sword, because that's what they were giving away. He goes, well, you got to win your class first, then we'll focus on getting your sword. So I was like, all right, I'm going to win my class and I'm going to get the sword. Well, I won my class and I won that sword.
Which was what, middleweight or light heavyweight?
I was a middleweight. I was little. I won it as novice. I didn't do the open. And then the Tennessee State show was the next week. This was 2006, I believe. Okay. So the state show was the next week. So I did the state show as a, so we used to have novice and then I think a junior and then open. So I was always taught you start a novice, you win that, then you go into the juniors, you win that, then you go to the open. So I went to the juniors and I can't remember if I won or placed second. I either won or placed second. I can't remember. I don't think I won the overall. I was hooked. I was hooked after that.
Yeah.
So then the next year, it was 2007, we went to, me and my buddy again did the same. We dieted together and we did the same show. We did Mississippi. I think it was called the Southern States at the time, or Southern Classic or something. It was a big show. We did that and went down there. I actually had an infection in my shoulder, had an abscess, and it was awful. Placed second out of like 10 guys, so had to have emergency surgery after the show. That was a crazy story in and of itself. That'll be another time. But came back. I was supposed to do the Chattanooga Classic. We just thought we were going to go in there, get it lanced, and go about our way and do the Chattanooga show the next week. Yeah, no, that wasn't happening. I was in the hospital for over a week. He went on and did the show. He did very well. He was a heavyweight, and then just kept doing shows after that. And I think I kept doing state level shows. I never did. I always, my thought process was always, you don't do a national level show till you can win your overall state show or an overall big show, national, regional level. Yeah. So I had went and I did the state again. No, I think I did the Knoxville Classic, 2008. I went in as a light heavy, very bottom of the light heavies. Went in there and I won that whole show, won the overall at that show. Then I did the Tennessee State show again. I won my class. In the overall, I was a middleweight, and the overall light heavy beat me. His name was Truck Mitchell, very good friend of mine. He had been trying to win state for years, and he finally won it. He passed away a few years ago, so it's actually crazy because I've actually got a picture of him and I on stage, and I've got it in my trophy case because he was a very good friend of mine. And when he passed away, that was very hard to hear because everybody in the gym loved this guy. And then in 2000, I don't remember what I did in 2009. I kept winning shows. I might have taken off a year between 2009 and 2010, but 2012, I did the state show again. Won the whole show that year. Won that. It was funny. I was actually in the Tennessee bodybuilding in Nashville area. You have Brandon Curry, you have Brandon Williams, you have Flex Lewis was there at the time. And I remember Flex saw me backstage, and he was best friends with Sean Barber, which him and I are very good friends now too. And he had won state previous. And Flex came up to me and he goes, "Oh man," he goes, "you beat my boy." He goes, "You beat him." And I was like, "No, I didn't beat Sean." And I didn't know. I mean, Sean was a good bodybuilder. And Brandon Williams, he's a 212 pro. He was helping me backstage, and he kept watching my body and having me pose for him. And then he'd be like, "Drink water." And he was always having me drink water, and I'd fill back up. So with his help and some people backstage, I won this Tennessee State overall in 2012. So that was a huge accomplishment for me. So now I was like, okay, now I'm ready to move on to the national level.
Hold on, you mean drinking water on show day is acceptable?
Right? Everybody, don't drink water, take diuretics. No, diuretics do not work with me. We all know this.
Yeah.
Diuretics I don't think work with anybody. I mean, I'll go flat. It'll take me 3 days before I recover. It don't matter if I just use a slither or anything. I just will not recover.
If you have light melanin or not much melanin in your skin, you don't need it.
I got plenty.
Fun fact.
And
let me ask this. So, when did you link up with Matt Porter?
Oh, Matt Porter?
Yes. I
linked up with him after, let's see. There's a story between that. I got with Matt probably 2013, I think it was, because I was with John O'Regan, and I did North Americans, placed fourth with him.
The OG.
Yeah, the OG. Everybody, the old bodybuilders, they all know John O'Regan, man. Right. Rest in peace. He was a good guy too.
Did you know him, Dave?
Uh-huh.
All right, so this is an old guy with giant bottle like glasses who used to like he used to be with like he's the original like trained with Dallas McCarver, Nick
okay.
Gilly,
Nick Gilly.
all the dudes who were massive, really young, always went to him. So pretty funny story.
Crazy drug protocols. He didn't
Yes.
really do anything crazy with me, but John was the type of guy. So I did junior nationals in Chicago, and I looked like shit. And I knew I did. And I told my coach at the time, I was like, dude, I look like shit. I'm known for conditioning.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, no, bro, I got you. He goes, you're going to be so conditioned. You just wait till I get there. Well, I didn't look good at all. And I knew it. So I just was like, hell, I was like, I paid for it. I'm going to just do it for the experience. So I was back in the gym on Sunday, and John O'Regan was in there, and he looks at me, he goes, Chris, you look like shit on stage. He goes, what the hell did you do? And I told him the story. He goes, let me coach you. He says, do North Americans. I'm like, all right, let's do it for a try. Let's see. So I gave him a try, and I placed fourth. Nobody knew who I was. I was coming there. I had no social media presence. Nobody knows who I am on social media. Won with John, and then we continued on working together. Well, John liked to get you really fat. He liked to use a lot of fat, and I don't like being fat. I don't like looking like that. And we were getting ready for North Americans for 2013, no, 14. And I was just like, man, John, I was like, this ain't working. I was like, I'm fat as hell. I was like, we're 12 weeks out, and I don't even look like I even work out. So I had happened to be doing some work up in Oregon, and I linked up with two guys, Dominic Current and Josh Fields, and I worked out with them at their gym. Well, I didn't know this. They were testing me, and I didn't even realize I was the altitude, how it was affecting me. Well, I made it through the whole leg workout, and they're sitting there laughing at me, and I'm like, why are you guys laughing? I'm making through this workout. And they're like, you don't realize that you're in a different altitude. I was like, oh, that's why my sides are hurting. So we got to talking, and Matt was blowing up pretty famous on the scene then, and I was asking him, I was like, well, how hard is it to get with Matt? They said, that's pretty hard to get with Matt. I was like, oh, okay, because they were asking me about my coach and stuff. I said, I'd love to work with him. And Josh was like, well, I'm actually very good friends with him. He goes, let me talk to him. He goes, you're a hard worker. He goes, Matt likes hard workers. See if he'll take you on. So Matt took me on, and of course, this was when we were getting ready for nationals, I think it was. So Matt took me on, and I told Matt asked me what my goal was. I was like, look, Matt, I was like, I know you're a conditioning coach. I'm a conditioning client. I said, I want you to get me the most conditioned I've ever been in my life. I said, I want to be peeled to the bone. Well, he did it. I went from when I placed fourth at North Americans with John, I was like 194, 192, somewhere in there. When I went with Matt, when I weighed in for nationals, I weighed in at 179. So I asked a friend of mine, I forget her name. She was a judge back then. She came in the room and looked at me. She was from Tennessee. And I said, what should I do? I said, should I just drop down to the middle weights, or should I stay at light heavy? And she said, Chris, I'm just going to be honest with you. She goes, you're too tall for middleweights. You're going to get killed there. She goes, you're too light for light heavy. She goes, you're going to get killed there too. She goes, I'll just go eat and enjoy myself. She goes, you're not going to place in either class. I was like, all right, fair enough. Well, Matt, you know how Matt is. Matt was upset. He was like, he goes, you came from fourth place, and now brought you into nationals, and you got like third call outs. Right. I'm like, Matt, I was like, dude, I was like, I'm okay with that. I was like, I was the most conditioned I've ever been in my whole life, man. I had lines all through my ass. I mean, I showed you those pictures on my phone, and it was crazy conditioning. So I told him I wasn't upset at all. So that's how I came to work with Matt the first time. After that, I took a few years off to kind of focus on my career. But Matt and I kept in contact, but I didn't use a coach because I wasn't planning on competing for a few years. So I took a few years off, and I think I first started competing again when I moved down to Florida. And I think this is 2018. And I was with another coach that was from Tennessee, but he had lived in Tampa. Very good coach, but I won my class in the Florida State show. I didn't win the overall. Actually, my buddy Adrian, the guy you met at Masters last year, he actually beat me. We become good friends. Well, this coach just up and left me after state show. I never heard back from him. We were supposed to be getting ready for North Americans after that, and just ghosted me. I didn't hear from him. I kept texting, calling. I was like, well, fuck this.
Right.
So I reached out to Matt. I was like, hey, Matt, I told him the situation. I said, I know I haven't worked with you in years. I hope you're not upset I didn't come back to you as I just in a new state, knew everything. He goes, oh, no, absolutely not. He goes, I'm perfectly fine with it. He said he'd take me back on. So he took me back on as a client, and we did, we were getting ready for North Americans. And unfortunately, that's when Matt passed away. We were pretty deep into it. I think I was about 6 weeks out, maybe 8 when he passed away. And I didn't know what to do. I was like, fuck, I don't know what to do. I was upset because I was close with Matt. Matt and I were actually pretty good friends. I was upset on that fact, and I didn't know what to do about competing. Well, this guy that claimed him and Matt were good friends.
Pause on that real fast. The hard part about transitioning off of Matt Porter, and anyone who used him knows this, his style is very unique.
Oh, very unique.
It is rock bottom fat. It's super high protein and carbs. It's hit cardio. It's training until you can't see straight. High volume, no days off. Like,
yep,
it's very unique, right? So the idea of going somewhere else, I'm sure, was terrifying to you.
Oh, I was terrified. I didn't know what to do.
Right.
So I went with this guy. Big mistake, huge mistake.
Yeah.
He wanted to see all match plans. He wanted to see everything. I was like, absolutely not. I was like, I don't do that. I don't share people's plans. I said, you send me yours. So I told him what I was eating and everything. I gave him a basic rundown of the protocol, the drug protocol, and everything we were on. Immediately, he ups all my drugs.
Yep.
Because Matt had been very conservative after. This was that time after he had the heart issues, and he changed his whole style of coaching. And
correct.
He brought everything, his protocols, all the way down, in which I was responding very well to.
Yep.
I was in a good place too. And this guy revamped everything. He sends me my plan on an email. He doesn't send it on a spreadsheet like you and John and like Matt did.
Right.
Sends it on an email, like just text me. And I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm like, I knew I made a mistake immediately. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what to do now. I paid this guy. I was like, I'm just going to roll with it. Each week got worse and worse and worse. And I'm not afraid of dieting hard at all. Then I can do that sin on my head. You've pushed me very hard, and it doesn't even faze me.
Right.
I remember I was installing a big line, a big robotic line, and I kept going hypo really bad, and I wasn't even using insulin. I almost passed out on line, and I was like, man, this is bad. So I was texting a buddy of mine. He's like, Chris, he was good friends with John. He's like, Chris, let me talk to John for you. I'm like, no, I don't know John. I was like, I don't want him to be. I don't want to be a pity.
For everyone watching this, yeah. John Meadows, not John.
Yeah, John Meadows. No, not John. John Meadows, the guru. So finally, he was like, "Fuck it, Chris." He goes, "I'm calling John." He goes, "You're gonna kill yourself if you stay with this guy." And actually, even Rachel, Matt Porter's wife, had reached out to me, and she was very upset I was with this guy because there was a big beef between those two. And this guy told me that him and Matt had straightened it out, which I didn't know they didn't. So I was lied to on that fact too, because I'm a very loyal person. Like, if I'd have known that, I would have never went to this guy. So immediately I was like, yeah, I got to leave this guy, because out of respect for Matt and Rachel, I had to leave him.
Right.
But my buddy contacted John. He told John the situation, and John told him to email me ASAP and see what he can do. So I emailed John, and John replies like not even within an hour. He replied, and this was in the middle of the day, so I don't know what John was doing. He could have been training. I know John was a busy man. So I was like, man, this guy's already responded to me. I was like, this is unusual. So he says, well, he goes, you're in bad shape. I'm not gonna lie to you. He goes, I think it was 4 or 5 weeks out from North Americans. He goes, I normally don't take on guys this close to a show. He goes, but I'm going to take you on because you worked with Matt, and I respect Matt a lot. And he had a lot of respect for Matt. He says, I'm going to take you on. He goes, I'm not promising you anything. He goes, I don't even know if you're going to be ready for this show. He says, but he goes, I'll give you my all. He goes, that's all I can promise you. So immediately John changes everything. He starts slowly reversing my food, my diet, He didn't really change.
Okay, real funny, Dave. I have that original plan on my computer that we just looked at on Saturday.
Yeah, we just looked at it too. That's funny. So
he got up. What was it, Friday morning? I was like, "Hey, get in here. I want to show you something."
Friday morning.
I was like, and he's like, "What the fuck is this?" I'm like, "Your original diet plan with John."
Yeah, he's got every tab in there. It's crazy. It was pretty surreal.
Yeah.
So John starts slowly reversing everything out. I mean, he can't drastically change everything because I'm already on a bad situation. So he slowly starts adding food in. And long story short, went to North Americans. We placed fourth. So John pulled it out, and then John said, "Well, what do you want to do?" He goes, "Do you want to continue on, or do you want to just go in off season?" And John had told me, he said, just so you know, he goes, so we're clear. He goes, if you stop training with me and you want to pick it up next year, he goes, I can't promise you a spot, because John was very busy. So I was like, well, shit, no, I'm not leaving you. I'm staying. I was like, you got me year round. I was like, let's do nationals. I was like, do you think I could be competitive? He goes, absolutely. He goes, I think we could do very well. He goes, that gives me plenty of time to rebound you. It gives me plenty of time to get you back on a good track. So we did nationals. I remember
this is when I met you, because I was training your girlfriend at the time.
Yep.
The same show
was with you.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. We did do the same show together. Yep. I forgot about that. And then you and
I was training for Virginia State, which was like a week and 2 weeks before you.
Yep.
Yeah. And we were crushing both of us at the end.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We became good friends during that time. That's when we started being friends. Well, I remember I went to weigh-ins, and my buddy Adrian that had beat me at the Florida State show prior, I stripped down, and he goes, what the fuck?
Yeah.
He goes, there's no way you're light heavy. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm light heavy. Well, I wasn't light heavy. I was over a couple of pounds. So normally I want to panic. I'm a panic type person. I'm like, oh God, what am I gonna do? So I call John. He goes, okay, just go buy a sweatshirt and walk around downtown Miami and do about a 30-minute walk, come back, go to the bathroom, and go weigh in. I'm like, all right. So I buy a sweatshirt. All I had was my sliders on. So I'm like, I had blisters on my feet walking downtown, just pouring sweat. So I come back, and I don't know if I made weight or not, because the guy looked at me, the guy looked at the scale, looked at me, looked at the scale. He goes, yeah, 198. So I don't even know if I made weight, but he went ahead and slid me on. I must have been close enough. So we came through, and I placed third. I probably could have turned pro that show. It was a toss-up between me and the guy that placed second. A good friend of mine, Stephen Wayne. I had actually told him at North Americans to do nationals, because he was kind of upset he didn't win, because he kept placing second at USA's, North Americans, second every show, and he was like, man, I can't win. He goes, I'm getting sick of this. All I get is second. And I told him, I was like, come to nationals and you'll win. Well, I wanted to compete against him again, because I knew we were pretty comparable. So on stage, it was so funny. John calls me immediately. He goes, he had people there watching me, and I didn't even know it. He said, it's going to be between you and Stephen Wayne. He goes, Stephen Wayne has you on size. His back is bigger, but you're way more conditioned than him. So he said, it just depends where they go. He goes, I'm going to be honest with you. He said, Stephen's placed second in a bunch of shows. He said, so they may just give him the nod. He goes, I don't want you to be upset or anything. I'm like, man, if I placed third at this show, I think there was like 40 or 50 guys in our class. And I'm like, if I'm top 5 at a show like this, I'm happy. I mean, I'm ecstatic. I didn't care. So Hunter Labarter even came up to me, and he was like, dude, he goes, you're second or third. He goes, you look good up there. And I had a lot of people coming up to me. I didn't even know, a lot of big name pros. I was like, wow, okay. It was just a crazy look that John brought. And actually, it was the same look you brought me to the stage this year. That's the same exact look. It's just insane looking.
It was,
and
because that look he had you at nationals in 2019, it was just it was the right amount of size and condition. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it was perfect.
You came out there, muscles were full and blasting against the skin. And when you pose very confidently, and that just presents really well. And I remember how proud John was in that moment, because, you know, he had essentially rescued your physique, right?
He did. John saved me. He really did save me.
And I mean, from that day forward, I feel like you were always back chasing that look. And what sucks, and I think anyone out there who's competed before, like, when you nail a prep and you get a look on stage that's pretty fucking spot on, you always hold yourself to that. And, like, Dave, I'm sure it's the same shit you see personally and with other competitors. You're like, I got to beat this. Like, and sometimes that white rabbit's hard to catch. And the next part of your story is going to explain why, how long it took us to catch that shit again.
So after that, we did. John wanted me to do Team U,
which you hated. You were like, I remember you texting me.
I didn't want to do it.
That shit. I'm not doing Team U. John's wrong. I want nationals again. And yeah, I know y'all are button heads about that.
Yeah, but he kept insisting. He says, I promise you're going to go pro at this show. You're going to go pro. And I think it was during the pandemic, wasn't it? Because they moved it to.
Yes, it was 2020.
It was in South Carolina, I believe. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
So I did it. I mean, I did pretty good. I mean, I was in the middle in one of my classes the whole time. I was dead center. Kenny was there. Kenny was on the side of the stage. He goes, "You got it, brother. You got it." And he comes backstage because Kenny was coaching me at the time for posing coach. And he said, "You got it." He goes, "You're going pro tonight, bro." He goes, "You got this." John calls me. He's excited. I'm like, "Well, dang, I guess I'm going to go pro tonight." I was like, but I don't know. I mean, I'm always the type of person until it happens, I'm not going to believe it. Yeah. So I remember we're sitting on stage at the night and they call 5th place, 4th place, 3rd place. And then it's me and this other guy. I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I look at my number, just remember so I can remember what it was. They fucking call my number. I'm like, looking down at my number. I'm like, well, damn, I didn't get it. And the whole crowd, Kenny can attest this. The whole crowd was like booing. I mean, it was like unbelievable. Kenny was like going crazy. So, I mean, I took it like a champ and smiled and took my 2nd place trophy. And then it was a tough loss. It was a tough loss for me and John both. I mean, John was pretty upset. I was upset, but I mean, it was at that time, it's like, it is what it is. There's nothing you can do to change it. So there's no reason to be upset.
All right. So I want to share some insider story because these are the stories that people want to hear about John. It's never told before. So he calls me on the phone and is like, he was ready to quit coaching bodybuilding altogether based on your result.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wasn't going to share that. I'll let you share that.
Yeah. You know what's funny, right? Is no one knows him like this, or not many people. I'm saying not no one.
Yeah.
He, if you watch his YouTube videos, he's always calm, collected, like no curse words.
Positive.
Man, he was ripping F words and saying, "Fuck this shit. I'm done with bodybuilding coaching. Like, I don't need to waste my time, effort, energy, and put into it anymore." Solely based on that. Because I mean, listen, man, I know you won't say this. You were the clear winner.
Yeah. It was very obvious.
Yeah.
And I never would say that. I'm not the type of person that says there's favoritism or it's rigged. I'm not that type of person, but this was pretty obvious. I don't know what happened at this show.
Right. I mean, I know you were told afterwards the other guy would make a better pro, which is fucking bullshit.
Yeah. All he had was shoulders. He had bigger shoulders. That was it. His legs had 0 lines in it. His glutes had 0 lines. His back had 0 lines. He had massive shoulders. That's all he had.
Right. Yeah. So, all right. So let's fast forward here. You did a couple shows more with John before he passed.
Yeah. We came up 2nd, and I never did really bad. I was always like 2nd. And I think I did nationals one more time with John during the pandemic, and I might've got 7th. I was in the top 10. I don't really remember. I think that was
that the show that he was coaching his Super Bowl and you called me because you were going flat and needed to eat?
No, that was
that the next year USA's?
That might have been Team U.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember Andrew Barry was back there with me, and he goes, "You're going flat, dude." He goes, "You need to talk to John."
Right.
And I couldn't get hold of John because he was at the football game. That's why I contacted you. I was like, "Chris, what do I do?"
I told him to suck down Nutri-Grain.
Yeah. Yep. You did. But and then I'm pretty sure I did nationals. I think it was 2020 or 2021. I got 6th or 7th. Wasn't very happy, but I mean, it is what it is at that point. Then I think we were getting ready for, what were we getting ready for? Do you remember? Was it nationals again?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's when, and I'll never forget this day. Chris and I were texting all morning. We were just cutting up and joking like we normally do. It was a Sunday morning.
Yep.
I remember I'd pulled up into Publix and Chris calls me. My heart sank. I was like, fuck, something's wrong. I was like, why is Chris calling me? And that's when he told me the news, and I didn't know what to do. I was lost. And I know you were more lost because you were closer to him. I felt like I was pretty close with John, more as not only as a coach, but as a friend too, because John and I would talk personal stuff like kids and stuff. And I didn't know what to do. I was freaking lost. And I remember you had told me that you would take me on. And I just didn't know what to do. I knew you were in a tough spot, and I didn't want our friendship, because we had become very good close friends, and I didn't want our friendship in the coaching line to like cross or anything. And I had asked if you would take over my training, and you was like, absolutely, I'd love to. So you took over my training, and then I went with another coach down here. I'm not going to say any names, but I bombed. I did nationals, and I got like third fucking call out. I was pissed. I was not happy. Tried to talk to him afterwards, and his wife was like, "Oh, we got to go. We ain't got time to stay here." I'm like, "Fuck this." I was like, "Go ahead, go." I was like, "I ain't got time for you anyways." I was mad. I was not happy at all. So Chris knew I was pretty upset, and I think right after that, probably a month or two after that, I was driving, and I just called Chris one day. I was like, Chris, I was like, remember when you asked me if you could take over my coaching? I was like, I know I didn't go with you right away. I know I didn't go with you right away, but would you still be willing to take over my diet, my training, everything, just 100%? He said, absolutely, no questions asked. So we did that. Chris took over, and man, I'll tell you what, it was the best thing I've ever done. Chris, it's crazy because Chris has both worlds, the best of both worlds. He's got Matt Porter, he's got John, and then he's got his own style that he just mixes all that in. And it's just, I don't know, it just works. Chris is just, he's taken what he's learned from both of those men, and he just made his own style, but it's still Mountain Dog, but it's Chris's style. And I know it works for you, Dave. It works for me. I mean, it's just amazing. So we did a few shows. I think we did, what was it, Master USA's?
Twice. Yep.
Yeah, we did it twice. The first year, you weren't there. My son was there with me. And what did we get? I got second. Second again. Both. I think I did two classes. I got second in one class and third in the other, maybe, or second in both. I can't remember.
Will you share why you got second?
Oh,
so I don't have to do it?
Yeah. So Chris says, well, go talk to the coach, go talk to the judges, see what they said. So I talked to the head judge, and I don't even come up to him yet. He's walking up to me, and this is one of the top Olympia judges. He knew who I was. He says, Chris Schaub, number blah, 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 whatever number I was. I was like, yes, sir. He said, love your physique, great physique. He shows you show up consistently every year. He goes, we've been watching you. He goes, our eyes are on you. He goes, hold that damn gut in. He goes, he says, you blow out your gut every time you turn to the side. And I was like, really? He goes, Chris, he goes, that cost you this show. He goes, you could have been pro tonight. He goes, you got to think, he goes, you're competing for a pro card. He goes, you're not on a regional level. He goes, you're competing to be a pro. He goes, pose like a pro. Man, that stung. I told Chris, and Chris said, all right, motherfucker. He goes, you're going to be doing vacuums every fucking day, twice a day. And I did them for 2 years. I mean, it sucked at first. I hated them. I was like, this is a waste of time. My abs are never going to be flat. I fucking hate this shit. That's what Chris said to do, is I'm going to keep doing it. And I eventually, a month or two in, I started getting better control. Now I just stand there and I just stand upright. I mean, my abs are sucked in. And I suck them in all the time now. I remember I was starting to worry myself because I was going to the bathroom. I was having trouble peeing. And someone said, are you holding your abs in while you pee? I was like, oh shit, I am. So I had to remember to release my abs, quit trying to hold them while I'm going to the bathroom, because I was kind of scaring myself. But yeah, now I just those abs stay sucked in. And even when I'm posing now, when I go from a back transition to a side, I'll even do this little thing. It may seem a little cocky, I don't know, but I'll rub when I turn to the side, I always rub my abs like this, so the judges know my abs are sucked in. and I keep them sucked in all the way around every time now. I mean, they're glued to my spine now. I very rarely does Chris have to say abs.
So
And
I do want to backtrack just a bit because that ab stuff plagued you. Like when you came to me, your digestion was fucked.
oh yeah, my dad, and I think that
Dave,
was
may I
from
take
that
this?
coach.
He was having hiccups for like bouts of like a week, like
Oh
not
yeah, it was
going
awful.
away. Oh, brutal. And he was motherfucker was training and working through this, like
Yeah.
just hiccups all the time, and
Nonstop.
yeah, and you were having heartburn and like. I'm not gonna shit on someone
I
else.
forgot about all that.
I'm not gonna shit on someone else's program, but it took us about a year and a half to get rid of all that shit altogether.
Yeah.
And so not only was it wasn't just, hey, I'm not pulling my abs in, my TBA's weak. Your digestion was brutalized with the previous coach in between John and myself. So
Yeah.
it was one of those things like I know they were trying to push you and gain you and make you gain weight, but I knew in my heart like it wasn't a size thing for you. It was we had to get your look right. And I mean, you said this while we were together. All in all, your stage weight hasn't changed drastically ever.
No.
But your look has changed. And I attribute a lot of that to you following the plan. Because a lot of things that I asked you to do were at the time I'm sure seemed pointless and like they were doing no good and it didn't make any sense until you come full circle, right? And,
yeah.
When you got back on Masters USA's last year, it was your stomach was in such a better place. Your posing was in a better place. And like, cause you had a period where you couldn't even flex your hamstrings from the back.
Oh, God, I was getting you know how frustrated I was getting with that. I wasn't enjoying competing anymore. Like competing wasn't enjoyable anymore. I was like, I'm going to quit because this isn't even enjoyable anymore. I can't stand being up there and you fixed that with one little thing. And I was like, why didn't anybody else think about this? And now I can pose my hams and my glutes at the same time. It's like, I don't know why no one else could tell me how to do this.
I think here was interesting, right? So Matt and John were calm. They were peace.
Yeah.
Every coach you had in between those before me was high, like anxiety for you.
Yeah. And I don't do well. You know that.
You're already high strung naturally if someone will let you be.
Yeah.
And that my job is to keep you guys calm. Like, even though I may have chaos in here and I'm like, oh fuck, we gotta fill in the blank, digestion.
You'll never know that.
Posing, right. It does no good for me to give you that. My job is to say, hey, here's the situation we have. I need to make a plan and then I need to install it and then you guys need to execute it. And like that's one of the things I always saw with you is like, hey, if we can keep you calm, chill, and relaxed,
and having froze
fun, up, you'll grow. So yeah.
So talking about the anxiety thing. So tell everybody the story last year when at the night show when you went to go get your cup of coffee, what I did.
Oh, okay. Okay, Dave, I'm like super chill, right? Like I don't want you pumping up. I don't want you having pre-workouts. I don't want you having any food until I'm like, hey, let's wait to the really last second and then do all that shit, right? So we're back there. It's just me and you, right? And your buddy Adrian?
My buddy Jamie.
That's right. Yes, yeah. So where I had to go piss, you know where Masters USA is. Like I had to walk all the way out from behind that curtain around that main area to go take a piss. And I'm like, I leave him. He's chilled, feet propped up. I assume asleep. I get back and I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I just had my Rice Krispie treats and Vasoblast. I was like, motherfucker, look how many people are above us. And he's like, well, they already called Masters up to get in line. I'm like, I don't give an absolute donkey fuck. And I'm like counting the people. And I can't remember how many people it was. It was at least 20. And I was like, we have at least 20 minutes before you're even sniffing the stage. Sit the fuck down. I was like, I can't go take a piss for 32 fucking seconds. Now, the grand
that was the first time I'd ever had a coach with me at a show. I've always done it. I'm so used to everything done by myself. Like,
yeah.
And I do get high anxiety. Like I'm the type of person, like my biggest fear is missing my class and not being able to get out there or not getting tanned or it's crazy stuff.
Now, mind you, he's like, am I going to be okay? And I'm like, everything's gonna be okay, man. You're in great shape. Take a deep breath. It's not a big deal. I was like, next time, like, how about you just chill and I'll tell you what to do.
That was much better this time, wasn't I?
And what's funny, right, is you've listened and were compliant for, at this point, almost 2 years. And I'm like, couldn't you just relax? Like, you've been spot on the whole time. Like, I don't understand what's going on. And you're like, I just didn't my class. I'm like, okay, cool. Learning experience, like, chill. It's not a big deal. You're in good shape. So that was a funny.
Yeah.
That was the only time I think I was like, what the absolute fuck?
You said I'm gone for 32 seconds and you fucking eat.
Yeah. Well, we don't all know how those expediters are backstage.
Yes.
Oh yeah, they get you all hyped
They're like
up.
the Bantams are up on stage. All right, heavyweights, come get glazed. You're like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Hour later, you're on stage.
Yeah.
So, again, you win your class there, and I'm
Yes.
like, oh fuck yeah. Like I am first row, I am right behind the judges. I'm like scouting everything. Like I knew that the middleweight was no choice. I knew the super was too light in the limbs, and the heavyweight was good but had no legs. And I remember texting Angel, I was like, there's no way he doesn't win this. And then you don't.
Again, runner up.
for the overall, because at that show you have to win the overall.
Yeah.
So he was more conditioned than you from the rear.
Yeah.
But you blew him away size. He was a heavyweight, but didn't look it. Like
his back, he had some crazy back lines.
Yeah, he was dug out. Like his glutes were harder than yours. Even though yours were hard, his were harder. He was harder through the back, but light in the arms, light in the legs, all around. Like quads, hamstrings, not big at all. Like for a heavyweight, it didn't look like that. So I didn't think there was a chance he was going to beat you, because I thought you had more complete physique.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sandy said, you need more back, more shoulder. And we said, okay.
More quads, more arms.
Right. So everything just get bigger. And that's what we took that whole next all season and did. And I kept you leaner this whole time, because I knew that for North Americans, you're going to have to be fucking crisp as hell if you wanted to win. So
yeah. I don't even think we got over 230 this year, did we?
No,
I didn't think so.
It was like it was
228, 226, somewhere in there.
And I mean, I think when I sucked you the fuck down, I think you were the lowest you saw was what, 193, 192.8, something in there.
I think 194 was the low, maybe 193. Yeah.
Okay.
It was 193, 194, somewhere in there.
Right.
But it didn't stay there long. I mean, you sucked me down, and then it was crazy how you suck me down, feed me, suck down, feed me, and it was just a good balance.
Yeah. Now I do want you to tell another story here, because this is a valuable lesson here. At 4 weeks out, you sent me that text message that I showed you.
Yeah.
And that's powerful. And so you don't have to explain the details of it, but
yeah,
you can tell me what you said to me.
So 4 weeks out, I think it was at the gym, and something had happened. Nothing personal, nothing bad. It was something that fired me up. Okay. I text Chris. I said, I want you to push me harder than you would even push yourself. I said, I fucking want this shit. I said, I don't care if I'm eating fish and egg whites every damn meal. I was like, fucking make me suffer. And he replies back. He goes, I was just getting ready to drop the hammer on you. He goes, we're dropping it now. And, I've been doing this so long. I mean, even like people would look at what I was eating. I was like, how are you functioning? How are you getting through your day? And I'm like, I asked for this. And it's nothing new to me. I mean, just got to get through it. And I know at the end of the day, it's going to be, once I get through this and Chris, where I'm at where Chris wants me, I know I'm going to get food, so I'm not worried about it. It's not like he's going to starve me to death and I'm going to lose all my muscle overnight.
Yeah.
Chris has me check in. At that point, you had me check in, every 2 days, 3 days or something like that?
You're really good about sending me post-lift photos. So
yeah,
pretty much send me pics every training day.
Yeah, so you stayed on top of it. And then, but that was a moment. I think that was a pivotal moment in this I
agree.
This year, because I was like, I don't want to be denied this year. I'm getting tired of getting second and runner up or right there at it. Let's just go ahead and do this. And you put it on me. We did it.
It's one of those things, right? Like, I know Dave and I talk about this all here on time. Like, and you said it, we choose this.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I think you got so much progress from that moment forward, and again, not that you weren't following the plan beforehand, not that I wasn't pushing you and doing what you needed to do, you're in the right place. But when you welcome that, it eases my mind. Because it's like, it's not going to be like, oh God, I'm going to make this hard plan for him, or it's going to get harder, and you're going to be like, fuck this shit, man. Like, you welcomed it. You're like,
I love it.
give me all that shit. I want all the pain.
Yeah.
What, 28 days? 28 days at that point? Like,
yeah, something like that. 4 weeks out.
I wish more people understood that.
Yeah.
And you know, Chris, in all honesty, I mean, normal people would probably look at that and say, oh, that's fucking hard. There's no way you can do that. You know, this is another day to me. It's one meal at a time. That's all I look at it as.
Yeah.
All right, I get this meal.
Yeah.
Next meal, drink my water. I mean, I would stay drinking on water. I drink more and more water when it gets like that because I think it helps fill you up.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really think it's that hard. I mean, people make this sound. I mean, I see people complaining how hard it is. I'm like, you asked for this shit. If this was easy, everybody would be doing this.
Yeah.
This is why I love this sport, because not everybody can do what we do.
Yeah. Well, I think it's my favorite thing is like it's one of those things that can't be bought.
Yeah. You have to earn it.
You know, exactly. You have to sit in front of that Tupperware with no carbs in it at some point, you know, to get that shape we need. You know, and there's no bypassing that. There's no special drug. There's no special anything.
Nope.
You know, it's just like, all right, cool. He ate his fucking sad meals, you know, and he did it without complaining. He still busted his ass in the gym.
Yep.
You know,
and you know, it's crazy. I see how you train, and your strength never goes down when you're training. And I'm so used to hearing people say, oh, my strength's going way down. And it's like an excuse, like, oh, you lower your food, so automatically you got to become weaker.
Yeah.
I didn't lose strength at all. I lost strength a little bit in chest. I did notice that. I started losing I couldn't dumbbell press as much or press as much. But other than that, I was still rowing. When I'd go to my gym, because they have up to 200s, I was still rowing 140s and 150s. My strength never went down at all. Maybe just a smidge. But I mean, I just kept pushing. I was like, I'm going to keep this weight the same. I'm not going to lower this weight. The only thing I did have to lower it on was chest, because I couldn't get my reps. But other than that, everything else, my legs, I still was pounding them and going heavy. And
it's all in our heads when it comes to that stuff. Like,
it really is.
I swear, some people even just like use the scale to dictate that. They'll be like, oh man, I'm light today. And then they go into the gym and they're like, oh man, that 2 pounds I'm down, I have to drop weight on everything. And it's just this.
It
you
is.
Know? Like,
you didn't get weaker overnight. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Your muscle didn't just fall off you.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Man, I've worked 18-hour days and still tired as hell, still in there able to push out the same amount of weight. I don't have to drop weight.
Yeah. You know, this is something cool too, Dave, that you'll appreciate. After his health phase, his workout stayed the same through the show.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Last to pre-contest to show week, all the same. Workouts didn't change once.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I still progressed, Chris. Isn't that amazing?
Weird, right?
Everybody's like, oh, you got to change it every 4 weeks. If it's working, why change it? It worked. I kept growing.
Yeah.
You did. Yeah, you did. And I mean, what's wild is you continue to say to me through this prep, like, I watched your legs get better. And you're like, we aren't even focusing on legs. What's the deal?
I know, it kept blowing my mind.
And you know what's really interesting? And again, I've shared this with you. I just installed some of the leg things that I believe in with you. We kept the John Meadows leg curls. I made you adductor like a motherfucker.
Yep.
And then I took all of your reps up on hack squats and leg press.
Yeah.
I made you do direct glute work. So you did that, and we reduced your total volume, and we only trained legs once every week, where when you were John, he had you doing legs twice a week. It's one leg day, hard as hell, and it grew your quads, hamstrings, and glutes.
And we were actually focused more on hamstrings because that's what I needed.
Yep.
And I think 2 key ingredients that you installed on me after USA's last year. You told me to go deeper on my leg press and deeper on my hack squats. And you changed my foot position and how I place the weight on my feet. I think those were the 2 biggest factors, because used to my quads never really came up to my hips. They were nice at the bottom, but then towards the middle somewhere, they would kind of like
Flatten out.
fade in, and they weren't nice, big and round. And even your buddy David in Texas, he even made the comment. He goes, "You can tell that comes from that. You can tell that guy does deep leg presses."
I will share this too, and for all the coaches listening out there, this is with a veteran competitor who has been wildly successful. I challenged you. I said, I think you have more in the tank. I was like, I think you're leaving shit on the table at leg day, on squats, on leg press. And I know at first that probably wasn't easy to hear.
No, I was like, "What?"
And I didn't give an absolute fuck. I said,
Nope,
I
you
know
didn't.
there's more, and you need to find it.
Yep.
And I know a lot of people are scared to have those conversations with their competitors or clients. I am not.
Yeah.
And I believe that played a role in why you won. And it confirms to me that hard coaching always prevails. Right? Because I know in my heart, if that was me and John saw a video of me or was with me in person, he just said the same shit. Chris, there's more. Stop letting this win and figure it out.
Yeah, I've said that for years. Like I still have yet to find failure on. Like, yes, I obviously ended sets or that they stopped, but I really think what I'm going to where my brain thinks is enough at some point, you know, and like we've all heard of those moms who are picking up cars.
Yep.
Yeah,
You know, if that can happen, what can we do? You know, and learning the progression on that, like. How much better at things can we get, right? You know, just Chris taking his leg press deeper is like that was a whole new level of pain. Like he learned how to get over, you know.
Yep.
And up until that point, like he was going hard, you know, but just this much more, right? And that's what bodybuilding is about, is all the things, but just like another little layer, you know, like on anything what you do, like that little step is like you might be able, you know, all the like little nuanced things start coming into play after you've already been training hard, you know? Yeah. And you're like, okay, cool, let's, you know, change our foot angle on this. You're like, holy shit, this sucks even worse.
Yep. Yeah, you have to humble yourself because you got to lower the weight to get back used to it. Like, fuck, I was doing 8 plates, now I can only do 6. What the hell?
Right. I remember telling you that. I'm like, it's gonna suck, it's gonna hurt your ego. And it's gonna be miserable. And I was like, but stay with me, give me 3-4 months, and I promise you'll be right at that weight with better reps.
Yep, you did.
And then
you know what's crazy is so I train by myself all the time. I never have a partner. One thing, I don't like partners, and second, I travel all the time. So I'm not gonna just ask some guy just to spot me because I don't trust people, because people are idiots. So sometimes I would get in my head, oh, well, I'm by myself. I better not push it. What if I get stuck or hurt? And then Chris had made that comment. I sent him a video, and I'll never forget it. I sent him a video of me. I think it was leg press or hack squat. I think it was hack squats. I was actually pretty proud of it. And Chris is like, "You got more in the tank, motherfucker." I was like, "Well, fuck." So I watched the video, and I was like, I fucking do have more in the tank. I was like, I fucking hit my number in my head that I wanted to hit, and I hit 1 or 2 more extra, and I thought I did good. So I was like patting myself on the back. I was like, I had more in the tank. I should have went up in weight. So that's what I started doing. And I'll never forget, it was I was in Detroit for that Fanic training class. I might have been 2 or 3 weeks out from the show. And we were dieting real hard. Man, I had one of the best leg workouts I'd had in a long time. And I was in there. I'll never forget. I did these leg presses. Man, I was proud of myself. I fucking nailed it. I went to failure. I mean, elbows shaking, legs shaking. And then I did a drop set on top of it. And I videoed it. I go back and look at the video. It's in fast motion. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, I finally get a really good video for Chris. And I don't even get to enjoy it because it was all fast motion. But man, my legs, they were trash for days after that. And I always try to do, whenever I do a workout, I always kind of picture like Chris in my ear. Come on, motherfucker, you got more in you. And it always pushes me extra to get that extra rep or to go up a little heavier and push myself, because you have to do that mentally when you're by yourself. Because when you're by yourself, you're like, okay, the plan says 12 reps. I hit 12. Okay.
Yeah. You got that little dude on your shoulder being like, that's good enough.
Yeah.
You gotta have the guy on the other shoulder being like, yeah, that's not good.
You got
enough.
more. You got Chris on your shoulder. Come on, motherfucker.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I would never speak like that.
No, never. Not you.
All right. So I get to fuck, I want to say California, no, Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah.
You pick me up from the airport. We hit the grocery store, and we get back and get settled in. And
You guys go to Trader Joe's or
no,
Target?
we went to the Giant Eagle
Yeah.
because
Oh.
Trader Joe's was too. We stayed on
Oh,
the,
it was far.
we were like 20 minutes from where you and I stayed, Dave, and then
Oh,
Trader
okay.
Joe's was 20 minutes the other way. So it was like 40.
Yeah.
And he had found this grocery store that had like all organic meat and things, and we had a grill and shit. So I was like, screw it. We went there.
Yeah.
And let's see. I'm trying to think. We posed. I know he was in a great spot. You barely made weight. Well,
Yeah.
you made weight. Don't tell that story. That's between us. You made weight. And from there, we go back to the room, chill. I went and trained. You got tanned, and then we get everything rolling. Well, at what it was like midnight, our power goes off the Airbnb.
Yeah, it was not fun.
He couldn't sleep because it was
brutally hot.
Someone
and you got that tan on too. You got extra clothes on. So
yeah,
someone hit a power line in our neighborhood with their car. So we wake up the next morning, power's still not on. He hasn't slept, and I'm like, oh shit. So
I've not slept at all, like zero.
So I took a look at him. He was still in a good spot. I heat my food up on the grill. He eats his cold. We get in the car, and because of that, all the traffic was fucked up. We're sitting in a line of traffic, Dave, and he's like, I'm not gonna make my class. I'm not gonna make it. There's no way I'm making it, because he's getting those text alerts.
Yeah.
Masters 50. And he's like, I'm not gonna make it. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I can freak the fuck out, or I can just be chill. And I'm like, listen, you're where you're supposed to be. And if we don't make it, we'll win 35 or win open. I don't care.
You were so calm. You just like, normally I would have been a mess.
I can feel you
calmed me down. I think
you were talking to your son, and I could feel you getting amped up. And I'm like, hey, well, where we're supposed to be. You're in shape. You're full. You've already eaten your meal. I'm good. We have nothing to worry about, bro. And so anyways, we get through that traffic, which took way longer than we either wanted. And then we get you backstage and realize we actually have a lot of time.
Yeah. You were able to help be with your other client too.
Yeah. So I was hanging out with John. You were chilling. You come out for 40. I'm sitting with Andrew and John and Randall and Justin Randall. And they were like, Jesus Christ, he's on. And I knew you were, because I'd seen you, right? But there's a long time where I couldn't see him on stage. So because I'm sure you remember that like loading area, Dave, where you're pumping up and they take you that other section and then you line up and then you actually go on stage. So for 40, you came out. I knew you were on. How'd that feel when you walked out? Like, did you know you were on, or it wasn't until you made the first call out and then moved to the middle? Like, talk us through that.
I pretty much knew I was on. So normally I don't look at other competitors, but I just kind of glanced, and everybody was kind of flat, and they were all just pumping up, and I'm just sitting there like, all right, y'all keep pumping up, because we ain't going on stage for a while. And he just kept pumping and pumping. They're popping their food. I'm like, just keep doing it.
Yeah, you're like, don't forget about those legs.
Yeah. Like,
better prop those
doing
up
squats and lunges. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing ever. But no, so the confidence I had this year was very comparable to what I had in 2019. I knew I was spot on. I knew we couldn't have been any better. I knew I was full. I could see in my legs stayed full. I had lines in my legs I've never had before. I just knew it was a different look. So when I walked out like I was confident again. Like I got my confidence back. Because after John passed, I lost my confidence for a couple of years. It was bad. Even Chris was like, I need you to get your confidence back. And I couldn't find it. It just wasn't there. And I think it was after we did Master USA's last year, I finally got my confidence back, because main thing Chris helped me engage my hamstrings. And I think
you checked a bunch of boxes that show, right? Like your shoulders.
Which show, last year or this
you
one?
hated your shoulders. You didn't have the right fullness on stage. Like, and we fixed a lot of that shit. And
we fixed so much.
This time you weren't missing back. Your shoulders were so fucking like exploding full, they almost overpowered your arms. Quads were new. You had all that hang from the hamstrings on the side. Like your glutes were fucking flickering. Like, what is there to be stressed about? Like, of
Yeah,
course,
I just felt it.
for that day.
I just felt it. You could just feel like you could feel your muscle. You could just feel it. You're like, okay, I know I'm firing this, I'm hitting this. And I don't know. It's just I walked out and then you know, you do your individual and I felt really good doing that. I was like, man, this feels really good. I was like, whether I win or not, I felt good. But to me, I already won at that point because I got my confidence back. I know I looked the best I've ever looked. So whether I win pro card or not, in my mind, I had already won.
Mm-hmm.
So we come back around and then they line us all up and they call the top 5 out and they call me up. I'm one of the top 5. And I don't know, how many moves did it take before they got me to the center? 2 or 3 rounds?
It was quarter turns, front double, and then moved.
Okay. And they worked us too, didn't they? Oh man, we went what, 3 or 4 rounds? They were working us.
Yes. Yeah. It was
3,
and then it was move and then back double and front double again. It was,
and I stayed in the center the whole time, didn't I?
Yeah, you were split center the whole time.
Yeah.
After that first little rotation, quarter turns. So the only crappy thing of the whole weekend, in my opinion, was when you got off stage. Like I was like, "Fuck, you nailed that look." Well, I ran backstage I was hoping I was going to feed you, and they wouldn't let you get food or water.
It was a pain. I went another
took him
hour
from the stage, Dave, right back to the pump up area, and I couldn't get anything to him. So no water, no food, and when you came out for 35, you were noticeably flatter. Like you needed minimum water. And
I was fading back there. I was tired. I was fading, and everything just started hitting me at once.
I know in my heart, if I would have been able to get you, even if it was something small and then 10 ounces of water, I hate to make predictions, you would not have finished third in the 35.
No, I agree. I agree with you that. But I want to go back to when I walked off stage from the 40.
Yeah, please.
And I walked back, and then I saw you, and wasn't Andrew with you too?
That was at night.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Chris comes back, and I'm sitting in that hallway where they hold us, and man, I had to run up to Chris. Chris was there, and man, he had tears in his eyes, and it was a special moment for both of us because I think we both knew we fucking nailed that one.
That was at night. Yeah.
No, that was in the morning. You came back there too, and you had tears in your eyes.
Oh, maybe. Okay, I don't remember that.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yep.
You said, "I think we got it, buddy. I think we got it," and you had tears in your eyes, and so you told me to eat, and I was like, "They're not gonna let me. I'm already in line." And you're like, "All right, just get some order if you can." So it was kind of a pain because I think it was another hour before I even went back on for the second class.
Yeah.
And then
after he finished 35, I went and got his food and water, and I literally took it to him.
Yeah.
For open.
And we ate.
So you ate a full meal, and then you went on for open. And you know, I think I know turning pro was cool, but one of the greatest things is, Dave, when you were at USA's, he messaged me. He's like, "Hey, watch the light heavies and see if I can still hang in that first call out of open." And I mean, I think as a Masters competitor, you always wonder that, like, can I still hang these young guys? And I said to you, I was like, if you get all this fat off, I still think you have a spot in the top 5. And when you came out for open, you had all of that fullness back.
Yeah,
you were missing with 35. And listen, it was a good class. It was a very good class.
It was a very tough class.
I told Andrew, I was like, man, I think he can get 4 to 5. I really do. I said, but you know, you never know where the judges are going to see that. And
yeah,
man, they called your number, and to me, that was fulfilling, right? Like
that was very fulfilling because now I know. I mean, I'm 47, and I like doing open class, but I didn't know where I stood. I didn't know if I could still stand with those kids. I mean, they're kids. I mean, like they're Dave's age. I mean, you young bucks up there. So for me to, I mean, that was the first one they called out too, and I've never been the first one to call out. I don't know how they call the numbers out. I don't know how any of that works, but my number was the first one called out, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I mean, I'm sure Chris saw my face when
you were shocked.
They called it out. I was like, "Hell yes!" So I mean, it was a big class too. It was 20 something guys in that class.
28.
It was a big class.
Yeah.
So I mean, to be called in the top 5, even in that. I mean, what they call 6 of us out there or 5?
It was 6.
Yeah. So I mean, and I wasn't on the end, so I knew I was at least top 5. So I mean, that felt really, really good. That was like rewarding. Like, okay, I'm still legit. I can still hang with these kids.
Yeah.
And
so you got off stage, and so Dave, I'll play out what I'm thinking in my brain, because when we left our Airbnb, the power was still off, and we haven't had power for at this point over 12 hours. I'm like, oh shit, what if his food is spoiled in the fridge?
yeah, oh yeah.
We can't go back to the room and melt his tan off. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, if we get back to this Airbnb, which is like 7 minutes away, and the AC is off, I'd found us a room at the Sheraton. So I was literally just going to drive his ass back there, go get food, make that on the grill at our Airbnb, and then take him fresh food. Like, I already had all this shit planned in my head, because I'm like, you're not going to miss a pro card because the AC's out, because you eat bad food, or you're going to melt your tan off, or, whatever. So thank God we get back there. AC is pumping. We walk in, we knew it immediately. And I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, it was a relief.
Yeah.
Our food was good. You caught you a 2.5 hour nap after you ate?
Yeah, I needed it.
And
we both did, actually.
Yes. And when he woke up, it cemented in my brain, there's no way this doesn't win. And,
well, Chris has this thing. I'm sure you've seen it, Dave. So he says, let's go outside and pose real quick. And he does this evil laugh. It's like an evil laugh. It's like,
yeah,
I fucking love when he does that, because when he does that, it's nothing but good. He goes, we're good.
I was like, go put your clothes on. Don't even waste any more energy. So, I mean, the good news is, like, what was so enjoyable with that whole experience was, we got back there early because I didn't want to risk any traffic or nothing.
Yeah. We had plenty of time.
That way you could just find a spot on the floor and chill. And it was like me, you, John, and all your Tennessee buddies. And it was just such a laid back, like, easy experience. And then obviously they kicked me out to where you had to go pump up and things. And
yeah,
when you came out and did your posing routine, man, like, all three of us, me, Andrew, and Justin, were like, fuck, this is his best. And, I know in my mind, I may always be a little bit biased, because, again, I was always comparing you to that 2019 look. And they were there, non-biased, confirmed that was your all-time best.
Oh yeah, by far.
Yeah. And when you came out, like, it just gave me chills, man, because I knew, I was like, if this doesn't win, we could not have done anything better. That's what I always want to give you, or either of you. And the long story short, the cool thing about North Americans is they place the overall. So once you turned pro, like, everyone's like, one of my other clients was like, man, why didn't you celebrate for his win of light heavyweight? I was like, because he's not a fucking pro yet.
Yeah.
He still has to beat 2 other people. So I didn't celebrate. Like, yes, was I happy for you, but I knew you still had to place top 4 in the overall. Now, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to lose to a Bantam or welter.
Yeah.
But
you never know.
As much weird fucking shit's happened to you, man. Like, I wasn't celebrating until that card was placed in front of you.
You and me both.
And you came out there, you battled with that super heavy, and he was good. Like,
yeah, and we're buddies too, so that made it even more fun.
Helps. So it was a good battle, and they place overall in North American. So you were 2nd overall. So you beat the heavyweight, he was good, but you beat him. That shows you how good your condition was. And then I really believe it was close. I'd love to see that scorecard for you in the super. But anyways, you're pro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally got this thing.
Yeah. Oh, you have it. Hell yeah.
I haven't really even celebrated it on Facebook or on social media yet. It's just kind of hadn't even sunk in, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So I will say this: like, after you did win 40 light heavyweight and then got your pro card, like, I did run back there, and I didn't give a fuck if they were mad that I went in the backstage area.
You did. Big tears in your eyes, man. It was a very emotional moment for both of us, man. It was one of the best moments in my memory that I'll hold dear for a long time.
It's one of those things, like, I'm very glad that as your coach and friend, like, that I was able to experience that with you and be there in person. Like, would it have been sweet if I was home? Yes. But that was a moment that, I really wish Chaz would have been there on camera to get that.
Oh man, that would have been awesome. Yeah.
And I'd shared this with you. And, like, that was a big monkey I was carrying on my back for a long time. There's a lot of things that I want to check off. like that will hopefully mend some of that hurt and loss from John's death, and you were one of them. And you know, it was very fulfilling. And you know, when they gave you your pro card, like Andrew gave me a hug and said, "Man, John will be proud of you," and that was sweet. You know, that
Yeah,
was
that is.
it
I
was
know John and Matt were both looking down at us, especially John.
yeah, agreed. And you know, it's really strong because I mean, man, you've been banging on that door for so long and like so close so many times. And again, that's a very similar story to John, right? Like how many times was he
It
close,
is.
missed
Yeah.
to, you know, someone who was genetically superior, a little bit more rounder, or had the judge's favor. And, you know, I know multiple people had asked you, like, why don't you just quit this, man? Like, why are you chasing it? It's too political, blah, 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 right? And to me, like defying those odds and just to keep banging and banging and like, listen, you love this. You're a bodybuilder at heart. You've been since you were young. Like, and to see it come true, like it really made that whole night complete for me. And like I told you, like emotionally, I was so drained after Thursday. I woke up Friday and felt like I was hungover.
Yeah. It was a rough one.
So,
But yeah, it was definitely a big monkey off both our backs. Because I've been close so many times, and I can't tell you how many times people come to me, why ain't you pro yet? Well, fucking no. It's not up to me. It's up to the judges. I don't control that. All I control is what I can bring, and that's all I control. And then yeah, that hearing someone tell me, well, why do you keep doing this? It's all political. I don't think it's political. I've only thought that one time, and that's when I placed second at Team U. I don't know what happened there, and I'll never will know. We will never know, but I know I beat that guy. I know that guy did not look better than me. I'll never settle for that one.
yeah.
But
again, like
that stuff's out of our control. I can't control that.
All that adversity made Thursday night that much sweeter, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, we finally did it. We finally got it.
you know, go ahead. Sorry.
Just having you there was the best thing. I mean, I couldn't imagine celebrating that without you being there. It wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been the same at all.
And you know, we did see the scorecards. It was straight ones, like, so that helps. And to know, like, you know, again, you did everything right. It makes all those fucking fish meals and no carbs and cardio and hard training sessions validated.
Makes it worth it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, agreed. And I think more people need to hear that because listen, there was, I'm sure, lots of nights when you were alone and traveling in those hotels when God had been easy to order room service and smash cheeseburgers. Or
I don't even do that in off season. So.
Oh, I know. But just think about that. Like you get done a 12-hour day of working on machines on your hands and your knees, and you got to go back to your room, eat your pre-lift meal, and then go train at 9 o'clock at night. Like how many motherfuckers would have just sat in the room and said, fuck it, I'll hit legs when I get home. You know, like those moments when you get to reflect back on it, like that to me is why when you presented on stage, you were so damn confident. There was no doubt you had done everything I'd asked to the best of your ability, and it was your day and your time. So
it was definitely our time. And that's probably a lot of the reasons why, like, you remember how I would switch my training around according to my travel?
Yes. Yep.
Like I would always train Monday through Thursday because I usually travel home on Friday. That way I don't have to worry about getting home, trying to get to the gym, because that takes a lot out on you when you travel all day and then you like, dang, I still got to go to the gym. I just got home.
Yep.
So I like taking those days and just use that as my off day. It just worked out perfect for me. Yep. And you always tell me, I mean, I'd let you know, but you always tell me, like, you're a veteran. You've been doing this forever. You don't have to tell me. He goes, I trust you. But I always like to let you know, especially when we're in prep, like, know what I'm doing. And I mean, you know me, I always follow the plan. It's not a question if I'm going to follow a plan or not. I may just switch days around.
Yeah, I mean, and Dave knows this. Like, if he knows he needs an off day, he just takes it, and we just rotate. Like, there's no stress on that. That's part of, to me, as you said, being a veteran competitor and being a mature competitor, knowing that it's better if you take an off day than it is to go in there and do a 75% workout.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think both of you will always go in there and give it your all, but your all is not always 100 on that given day.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been there where work 12-hour days in the heat or in a cold freezer. Man, a cold freezer will knock it out of you. And I tell you, like, some days your bones just hurt. You're like, fuck, I don't want to go lift, but these other guys are lifting. I got to get in here and lift.
All right, so Dave, was it a whole week you were in a freezer, Chris, working
Oh,
all
I was
day?
in a freezer for 2 full weeks.
He's like, I'm like, what in the world is even going on? Like, get the fuck out of there.
Oh man, it was cold and damp. That makes it even worse. And I have no fat on me, so I'm like freezing. It's like 32 degrees in this damn place.
Yeah.
It was awful, Dave.
That's why I laugh, right? Because it's like no one else is going through this shit, and yet they think their life is horrible.
Yeah.
I'd see these guys that are trainers and they're going home and taking naps and they're talking about how rough their day is. I'm like, you don't know what rough is. I'm up at 4:30 in the morning doing my cardio, or 4 in the morning when it starts getting longer duration. I'm eating my meal in the room. I'm heating up egg whites and in the microwave. And then I'm working 12-hour days, and I come back to the room and take me a little nap, and I go to the gym. You guys ain't doing that shit. They're napping in between clients, talking about how rough it is, and they can't make it. They can barely make it through their day. I'm like, it's like my buddy said. My buddy Jose here. He goes. We aren't humans. They don't know. Humans won't know.
You got to be a machine sometimes, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Any final thoughts or takeaways or any knowledge you can pass it on to people who are listening, man? Just in terms of this whole progress for you, right? Like, because again, I know people listening might be in various portions of where we just talked all the way through. So is there anything you can share with them that will, I don't know, motivate's not the right word, but just encourage them to stay on the path?
The biggest thing is like what you said at the beginning of this, is like how basically we're an instant society. The society wants everything right now. I mean, how many years did it take me to get my pro card? The closest I came was when I placed 4th at North Americans in 2013. So I've been banging this out, what, 9 years now? No,
11
years. So I've been close 11 years. It's not like I've been doing this and I've not been close. I mean, I've been placing second consistently for years, knocking at that door. So biggest thing I could say is never give up on your dreams. I mean, turning pro has always been a dream of mine. I mean, I would never share that online. I'd only share that with my closest friends like Chris and maybe 1 or 2 other people, because I'm just not that type of person that puts that out there. Oh, I'm going to turn pro. I'm a future pro. No, I'm not a pro till I turn pro. So I'm not that type of person. But yes, deep down, I always wanted to turn pro because that was my goal. I mean, I love competing. So obviously I want to be the best at what I do. So just stay consistent. Don't ever give up. I mean, it doesn't matter if you place second, doesn't matter if you place 10th or last. I mean, it matters that each year you just show up better and better. And that's what we did. We took the judges' constructive criticism every year. We'd ask them, what do we need to improve this year? And man, first year was like a list this long. It was like, geez, am I even a bodybuilder at this point? I got to fix everything. And then the next year it got a little shorter. And then the best, I mean, this is kind of off subject a little bit, but the best was last year when Sandy just came up and gave me a big hug. And she says, Chris, you're right there. You're there. She says, just fix. And it was just a handful of things to fix. And I told Chris, and we were out eating, and told Chris everything she said. He goes, all right. He goes, when I get back home, he goes, I'll send you an update. We'll be working on those things. And we did. We worked on every one of them. And it was so nice seeing Sandy at the show and telling her that her words are what helped me turn pro, and being able to talk to her. But yeah, guys,
snuck backstage to be able to speak with her.
Yeah. She remembers me. Sandy's been judging me for a long time. So, because last year when she came up to me, I was actually in a long line of of competitors waiting to talk to the judges. And I was just sitting there with my friend Jamie. We were just talking. I was just patiently waiting. I was like, well, it's going to probably take us a little bit to get to him. And Sandy sees me. Sandy bypassed everybody and just came straight up to me and gave me a big hug. And she told me I was right there. So that really that meant a lot, because Sandy's been judging me for a long time. But to get back to like what Chris had asked me, just stay positive. Don't give up. Don't get down on yourself because you haven't achieved your goal this year, or even in life, even in not even bodybuilding, just life in general. Because I take everything with my bodybuilding into my career also. And I have done very well in my career because of my discipline in bodybuilding. And even my bosses have even told me, like, you're disciplined with your bodybuilding and your job, and you always put your job first, and you always do everything right. I mean, you can put this bodybuilding to every aspect of your life. I mean, it can change who you are, really. And I believe that's what's made me a better person, a better employee for my company. And just in life, I don't, if you can, if you can survive a hard diet and through bodybuilding and be successful, I think you can survive anything in life. You can do anything you put your mind to. Nothing can stop you. Because this isn't easy. This is hard. So if you can do this, anything in life for you is easy, I think.
You have any questions for him, Dave?
No, not yet.
All right, man. We've been on for well over an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, we
Goes
appreciate
by quick.
Yeah, I know, right?
It did. Yeah, it seemed like we just started.
Yeah, I think I hit record like 10:05. It's 11:19. So, man, listen, I'm thrilled with you, and how this has went. And it's one of those things, like, we went out, we got a huge meal afterwards, and I was like, all right, so you're doing Tampa, right? So it is into the all season to make everything bigger, because you have a lot of room to fill out to 212.
Yep.
Considering you made weight 190, 198. So
Right at the very top.
yeah, I think that another good off season, and then hit up another later summer show and see where you fall. And because I mean, the cool thing about Tampa is you'll be able to do the Masters class and the Open. So
Yeah.
that
And it's in my backyard too. So
correct. Yeah. So it's really close. Can you
That's
drive
super
there,
nice.
or you have to fly?
oh yeah. No,
that's
Tampa's
good.
like 2 hours for me.
Oh,
Maybe even
totally.
closer now that I've moved a little farther north.
Oh, even better. So I mean, now it's just back to the drawing board. I mean, you had 2 free meals over the course of, let's say you had 1 free meal on Thursday night. You were fully on plan Friday. You had a free meal on Saturday night, and then
I had a free meal with my mom, but other than that, I've been on plan.
Yeah, doing
I had to
cardio.
get my stuffed shells. I had to get my Italian shells. So
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean, the back to bodybuilding at this point. So
Exactly.
I mean, the great thing is, for anybody out there listening who is Masters and didn't catch his age, the later 40s and still getting better. So, I have some clients that are always like, oh, I'm 40, my legs are going to disappear. Yeah, they will if you
quit
want.
training them, they will. I mean, I have a buddy, him, Tony LaGrange. He's over 50, and that dude's still growing. I mean, he hasn't stopped one bit. His legs have grown, his whole body's grown. So
Yeah.
it's just an encouragement that it's mind over matter. I mean, I know at some point my legs are going to stop growing, and when they do, that's when I'll step away from bodybuilding. But until that happens, I'm going to keep banging like I'm 20.
Yeah. I mean, you're still getting better. You're still getting in great shape. There's no need to let up unless mentally you just said, hey, I'm done.
Yeah.
And
I don't have
you're
loose
there
skin,
yet.
so I don't have that old man loose skin, so we're still hanging on. So
I have loose skin. That is a great thing. So yeah, I mean, that's the bottom of your 40 class, you could see that, like the last call outs, you could start to see that. But I mean, as a whole, that group of 40,
it was a good group.
at top 8, I think is what they called out. Like it was competitive, and no one had like drastically missing body parts or loose skin on their glutes or pecs or low back, where you typically see a lot of it in the 40 plus guys. So no, you definitely earned that. And again, that battle in the supers with overall was
Man, that was fun.
I mean, and again, I think from the front, you had him. I think the sides y'all split. Like his side chest was better, your side tri was better. He beat you on both the back shots. So I mean, dear God, like you got to be thrilled with that.
Oh yeah, I was so happy.
198 and he'd be 260s, right?
Yeah, I think it was 250, 260. He's a big old boy, so he ain't small.
No, oh yeah,
by no means.
All right, guys. Until next time.
I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Chris, for everything you've done for me. Being my not only my coach but my friend. I mean, you've been a dear and close friend for many years now, and just even we get closer every time we spend more time together. And I just thank you for everything you did for me, and thank you for pushing me to get this. And then Well, it's only up from here. We do more and more.
Yes, sir. And,
And
as I
thanks,
told you-
Dave, for everything, all the encouragement, and all your crazy ass videos for me to chase after.
That's
You
what
were
he's
one
prime
strong
example
dude,
for.
man. That dude is strong as fuck. I mean, I'm like, damn. Stupid strong.
Yeah.
I'll never
I'm
be
just-
that strong, but I can chase after you.
Yeah.
If I can get half of what you get, I'll be happy.
You finally get to meet him in person, you'll be able to see how much power he has. And like,
Oh, man.
it's wild to see how thick his joints are. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, you and I, we got baby joints.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got like the opposite of that. It's like the
Yeah,
same exact
look at that
size
shit.
forearm.
Look like my kneecap over there.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah. We'll have to when Dave turns pro, y'all have to do a show together and I'll just be there.
Oh, that would be fun.
that'll be the
Yeah.
deal, right? So hell yeah. Or you could all just both come to Virginia and train, and that'll be easy. So
Yeah.
We might have to plan that.
Yeah. That would be a fun week or something.
We might kill each other.
Dwayne will
That
welcome
would be
you.
a good video session right there.
Yeah. Agreed. Hell yeah. All right, guys. Until next time, Chris Schaub, IFBB Pro. Until next time, see you guys.